Let's dive right into it. Here's the tough love you might need to hear today. If you're struggling with obesity, the truth is, a lot of it comes down to your own actions. Now, I know that might sting a little, and there are plenty of people out there who will push back saying, "No way, it's all genetics. We're just wired to be a certain size, and there's nothing we can do about it." And hey, I get it. Those arguments are everywhere, especially in the movement to promote fat acceptance, where the message often seems to be, "You're overweight? So what? Just embrace it." But here's the thing. Carrying excess weight isn't just about appearances, it's about your health. Being obese puts you at a higher risk for all kinds of health issues and can even shorten your lifespan. And while the idea of fat acceptance might sound comforting, it's not solving the bigger problem. The good news? Those who say you're powerless to change are flat out wrong, dead wrong. Obesity isn't entirely out of your control. Sure, genetics play a role. It's a factor we can't ignore, but it's only half the story. The other half? That's environmental influences, the choices we make every single day. And those, we can absolutely control. Let's break this down. Let me be clear. I'm not denying that losing weight can be tough, sometimes really tough. Genetics might stack the deck against you, making the journey harder. But here's the key. Tough doesn't mean impossible. You can absolutely take control and make a change. That's what today's video is all about, giving you the tools and the mindset to fight back. We're going to dig into why shedding those extra pounds can feel like an uphill battle, but more importantly, we'll explore what you can actually do about it. Because here's the thing. With the right knowledge, you gain power. Power to understand your body, power to make better choices, and power to stop settling for the idea that this is just the way it is. Too often the message out there is to just accept your weight and learn to live with it. But I'm here to challenge that mindset. You don't need to embrace the struggle without fighting back. You can do something about it, and today, I'll show you how. We're diving deep into the reasons behind the challenge, breaking down what's really going on, and laying out actionable steps you can take to turn things around. So, buckle up. Let's get into the details. Let's face the facts. Obesity isn't just a personal issue, it's a full-blown epidemic. If you need proof, consider this. Over 40% of people in the United States are obese. That's not a small number, it's nearly half the population. Over 100 million people. Globally? We're talking billions. That's billions of people facing the health risks that come with carrying too much weight. And those risks? They're no joke. Obesity raises your chances of developing serious conditions, like cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and even certain types of cancer. Yet, despite these undeniable realities, there are still people out there preaching the idea of healthy at any size. Let's be real for a second. 300 pounds isn't healthy. It's not something to gloss over or sugarcoat. Telling yourself otherwise? That's just denial. It's time to wake up, face the truth, and realize you have the power to change. You're not stuck. You're not doomed. You can do something about it. It starts with acknowledging the problem and deciding to take action. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth it, because your health is worth it. When your doctor brings up your weight, it's not an attack. It's not about shaming or judging you. It's about helping you. Think about it for a second. Doctors are trained to look out for your well-being, and when they talk to you about weight loss, it's because they want you to live a healthier, longer life. It's not about pointing fingers, it's about offering solutions. Imagine this. If a doctor told you to use sunscreen because they noticed signs of skin cancer, you wouldn't call that shaming, right? You'd see it for what it is. Someone trying to protect your health. It's the same with weight. A doctor advising you to lose weight isn't being cruel. They're trying to show you a way to feel better, live better, and reduce your risks of serious illnesses. And let's be honest, there's a simple truth most people understand. Those who maintain a healthy energy balance, managing how much they eat versus how much they move, tend to stay lean. On the flip side, overeating and not staying active leads to weight gain. It's not an easy conversation to have, but it's one worth having, because the path to change starts with understanding the problem. At the core of it, weight management comes down to a simple equation: calories in versus calories out. If you don't eat more than your body needs and you stay active, you're not going to gain excess weight. On the flip side, consuming too many calories without burning enough leads to weight gain. It's just how our bodies work. I'm not saying this to sound harsh or insensitive. I'm saying it because understanding this is key to making a change. Now, is it easy? No, absolutely not. For some, it's far more challenging than others, and I get that. Genetics, lifestyle, and even environment can make this journey tougher. Many people look at obesity as a lifestyle choice, and you've probably heard things like, just exercise more, or just eat less. But let's be real, it's not as straightforward as those phrases make it seem. Technically, yes, burning more calories than you consume results in weight loss. That's science. But here's the kicker. Understanding the science doesn't magically make it easier. Your body is influenced by hormones that regulate hunger, and when you're feeling starved, resisting food becomes incredibly difficult. It's not just willpower, it's biology. And knowing that can help you approach weight loss with a little more compassion for yourself and the challenges you're up against. It's hard, but it's not impossible. The set point theory is a fascinating concept, and Michigan medicine describes it well. It suggests that our bodies naturally try to maintain their weight within a certain preferred range. Think of it like a thermostat for your body weight. Your genetics set the temperature. For some people, their set point keeps them naturally lean, while others might have a set point that nudges them toward being overweight. It's not about luck or fairness. It's just biology. But here's the key takeaway. Even though your set point exists, it doesn't mean you're powerless. You can influence it. This set point isn't a fixed number. It's more like a range with a bottom and a top. When you try to push your body below that range, like people striving for single-digit body fat, it can become a battle. Your body fights back with lower testosterone, a diminished sex drive, mood swings, poor sleep, and constant hunger. It's a tough place to maintain, and honestly, it's not sustainable or healthy for most people. On the flip side, when you let your weight drift above your natural range, it becomes a different kind of struggle. But the beauty is that while genetics might set the range, your choices and habits can shift where your body feels comfortable. It's not easy, but with consistency, you can change your normal and create a healthier balance. Let's talk about how you can work with your body rather than against it. If you're overeating, it's not just about the extra weight. It's about the toll it takes on your health. The good news is that you don't have to settle for being stuck at the higher end of your set point range. You have the power to guide your body toward the lower end of that range. It's not about achieving perfection, but finding a balance that's both healthier and sustainable. So, how do you do that? It starts with consistent effort, 150 minutes of cardio a week, and a diet that focuses on low-calorie dense foods. But here's where many people stumble. They simply don't know how to make those changes. Junk food, chips, candies, they're everywhere. And it's no surprise people gravitate toward them. Then they're left wondering why the scale isn't budging. The secret lies in choosing foods that work with your body, not against it. Foods that are lower in calories, but packed with fiber, protein, and volume, can keep you feeling full while making it easier to stick to your goals. It's about swapping calorie bombs for meals that satisfy your hunger and fuel your body. Once you understand this, you'll see that healthy eating isn't about deprivation. It's about making smarter, more sustainable choices. And trust me, you've got this. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this so far, hit that like button and subscribe. It's a small step, but it helps so much in reaching more people who need these tips. Now, let's dive deeper into making these changes work for you. It really is that simple. I'm not saying you can or should aim to lose all the weight, but let's put it into perspective. If you're 250 pounds and your ideal weight is 150, That's a 100-pound difference. Losing all of it might not be realistic or necessary, but what about losing half? Dropping 50 pounds is absolutely achievable, and it can make a massive difference in how you feel and function every day. Remember, your body has that set point range we talked about. If you push too far below it, you'll likely feel drained, constantly hungry, and generally miserable. But why settle for living at the very top of that range? Just because your genetics lean toward being overweight doesn't mean you have to stay there. You have the power to shift to a healthier point within that range. You can find a middle ground where your body feels good, and you're no longer carrying around all that extra weight. So how do you make that happen? Start with the basics. Cut back on the junk. The sugary, calorie-dense foods that keep pulling you back, like ice cream, chips, cookies, and candies. Swap them out for foods that nourish you, keep you full, and don't overload you with unnecessary calories. And don't forget the simplest form of movement: walking. Adding more activity into your day helps your body burn off those extra calories, making it easier to leave that higher set point behind. I'm not saying you need a six-pack or single-digit body fat. Far from it. You don't need to look like a fitness model to feel amazing. But imagine cutting that goal in half, getting halfway to your dream weight. That's still a huge win, and a much healthier, more enjoyable place to be than where you started. So instead of throwing in the towel and blaming your genetics, take the first step. Small, consistent changes can get you halfway there. And trust me, that's so much better than staying stuck. Let's keep moving forward. Instead of getting overwhelmed by the idea of losing all the weight, shift your mindset. Think about losing just half of it. That's a much more manageable goal, and it's achievable if you understand how your body works. Take ghrelin, for example, often called the hunger hormone. This hormone is released by your stomach when it's empty, sending signals to your brain that it's time to eat. It's one of the main reasons you feel hungry. But here's the good news. You can influence these hormones with your habits. By eating larger meals made up of low-calorie dense foods, drinking plenty of water, and exercising, you can reduce ghrelin levels. When ghrelin is lower, you're naturally less hungry. And when you combine that with higher leptin levels, the hormone that signals satisfaction, you create a balance where your body feels full and satisfied more easily. This means you're not fighting constant hunger, and you naturally eat less without feeling like you're starving yourself. It doesn't have to be as hard as it seems. Instead of falling into the trap of thinking, "There's nothing I can do, I just have to accept it," why not take control? Loving yourself doesn't mean ignoring your health. It means caring enough to make changes that will help you feel and function better. Losing some weight, even just a fraction, can make a huge difference to your overall health and quality of life. Sure, this process isn't just about willpower. It's not about wishing your way to a healthier weight. It's about working with your body, understanding how these hormones and systems operate, and making small, consistent changes. You can't overpower biology, but you can work alongside it to create lasting results. The real question is, are you ready to take that first step? Exactly. You can't expect people to rely on sheer willpower alone to lose weight, especially when the environment around them isn't helping. I'm not saying you need to lose all 100 pounds, but setting a goal to lose half, that's realistic. The key is to set yourself up for success, and that starts with what you surround yourself with. If you're still eating the same high-fat, high-sugar junk foods, cookies, candies, chips, you're making it so much harder on yourself. Think about it. If that junk is sitting in plain sight, tempting you every time you walk into the kitchen, how are you supposed to resist? Willpower only takes you so far. But if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. When I walk into my kitchen, I don't see junk food. What I see are fruits, vegetables, and healthy options that make it easy for me to stick to good habits. When I open the fridge, I'm not greeted by a pile of sugary snacks. I see foods that fuel my body. That's intentional. If you want to lose weight, you have to be proactive. Keep healthy foods readily available and in stock. Make those your go-to options. And the junk, hide it away. Stash it in the pantry, or better yet, bury it in the back of the freezer, under all those frozen fruits and vegetables. If it's not easy to access, you're less likely to grab it. You're not battling temptation every moment. It's just not there staring at you. Creating this kind of environment makes it so much easier to make better choices and stick to them. It's not about perfection, but making those small, intentional changes that set you up for success. Let's talk about the harsh reality of dieting. Around 95% of people who try to lose weight through diet and exercise fail. That's not because they're lazy or unmotivated. It's because most people don't know how to do it properly. They're stuck in a cycle of misinformation, quick fixes, and unrealistic plans that set them up to fail. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'll just eat chicken, broccoli, and rice every day and hit the gym twice a day"? That'll do it. Sure, that might work for a month if you're lucky. But then what? Burnout, frustration, and eventually, falling off the wagon. It's a never-ending loop of yo-yo dieting that leaves you feeling worse than when you started. The problem isn't effort, it's strategy. Most people don't have the tools or knowledge they need to make real, lasting changes. They dive into extreme diets or grueling workout routines without understanding what their body truly needs. They don't know how to create a sustainable lifestyle that works for them, and that's why so many fail. The good news? There are smarter ways to approach weight loss. Ways that don't involve starving yourself, overtraining, or giving up your favorite foods forever. It's about learning, adapting, and finding balance. If you're watching this, you're already ahead of the game. You're here to figure out what works, to make changes that stick, and to finally break free from the cycle. And trust me, that's a game changer. Let's keep going and dive into how you can make that happen. Let's break it down. There are several types of bariatric surgery: gastric bypass, sleeve gastrectomy, biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch, and so on. Each one involves altering your body in significant ways, like cutting out part of your stomach. Or you could try something as simple as eating a snack that's high in fiber, like something that fills you up and helps you stay satisfied. No surgery, no scars, no risks. But why would someone take that route, right? Why would they try a healthier alternative when surgery seems like the quick fix? Why bother with something like protein-packed meals or low-calorie options, like protein ice cream, or even a diet soda with 5 calories instead of a sugar-loaded one with 150? Oh no, that's too simple. Better to go straight for the surgery, right? The reality is, for many people, obesity isn't just about food. When you see someone struggling to move, with everyday things like hygiene becoming a challenge, it's clear the situation is much more complex. It's hard to dismiss it as just a matter of choice. Sometimes there are enablers, people who feed into unhealthy habits literally and figuratively, making the problem even worse. But even then, the choice to take control is still there. Whether it's swapping sugary snacks for high-fiber foods, finding simple ways to stay active, or saying no to the enablers in your life, the power to change is in your hands. Surgery might feel like the only option, but often, small, consistent changes can do more than you think. It's about asking yourself, what am I really willing to do to live better? Most people don't set out with the goal of gaining excessive weight. Sure, there are rare exceptions, but for the vast majority, that's not the plan. Yet, for many, the idea of making a change, eating healthier, doing cardio, or adjusting their habits, is even less appealing. So, they stick with what's comfortable, even if it's harming them in the long run. It's not that they actively want to be overweight. It's that they don't want to change more than they want to keep their current lifestyle. Let's be real. It's a choice. Choosing to eat junk, candy, chips, and all the other garbage instead of prioritizing whole foods and movement. It's not easy, but that doesn't mean the choice isn't there. And while I think it's the wrong choice, one that leads to poor health, less energy, and potentially a shorter life, we all have the right to live how we want. Some people choose to smoke, drink excessively, or use substances that harm their bodies. Those are choices too. They're not always good ones, but they're still decisions we make. The same goes for how we eat and move, or don't move. If someone chooses to live a lifestyle that puts their health at risk, it's ultimately their call. The question is, are you making choices that lead to the life you want? Or are you letting short-term comfort steer you away from long-term health and happiness? The choice is yours, but the consequences come with it. What kind of life do you really want to live? But here's the thing. You can lose that weight if you truly want to. The key is to stop seeing it as something completely out of your control. Sure, it might feel overwhelming at times, but you have options. You can accept it, embrace it, and decide not to change, or you can take steps to turn things around. It doesn't have to be some monumental leap. You could start by learning more, exploring resources, or making small changes, like eating foods that are better for you, incorporating more fiber and protein, or even finding snacks that keep you full without all the extra calories. There's so much information out there, and if you take the time to look, you'll realize you're not stuck. But too often, people choose to stay in denial. They see images of someone who's 300 pounds on the cover of a magazine with a bold headline claiming, "This is healthy," and take it as validation. Oh, if they're saying it's healthy, then I don't need to change. I'm fine just the way I am. And that mindset, it keeps people from facing the truth. The truth is, being 300 pounds isn't healthy. It's not about shaming anyone. It's about being real. Seeing someone on a magazine cover might make you feel better temporarily, but it doesn't change the fact that carrying that much extra weight puts your health at risk. Denial doesn't solve the problem. It just pushes it further down the road. If you're watching this, I want you to know it's not about perfection. It's about making a choice, to try, to learn, to take small steps that lead to a healthier, more fulfilling life. Because you're worth the effort, and your health is worth fighting for. So, what are you going to choose? So, let me get this straight. You see someone who's 300 pounds on a magazine cover, and suddenly, that's all it takes to convince you it's healthy? Really? It's almost laughable how easily we let these images manipulate us. Just because something is on a magazine cover doesn't mean it's healthy. It just means someone decided to celebrate it. But celebrating a body type that's medically recognized as dangerous? That's a whole different story. Look, there's nothing wrong with showing people of all shapes and sizes on magazine covers. Representation is important, but let's not kid ourselves by labeling it as healthy when it's not. It's the same argument as putting a Mr. Olympia champion, 250 plus pounds of muscle and 4% body fat, on a cover and saying, "This is healthy." We know it's not. It's impressive, sure. It's a feat of discipline and training. But healthy? Not even close. You don't see those headlines, right? No one's slapping a "this is health" label on the extreme physiques of professional bodybuilders. So why are we doing it for other extremes? Let's call it what it is. Something worth acknowledging, maybe even inspiring for some, but not the definition of health. Pretending otherwise only fuels denial. The real power comes from stepping out of that denial. Take responsibility for your health. Own your choices. That's where lasting change begins. Not from glossy covers or catchy headlines, but from you deciding to prioritize yourself. It's not easy, but it's real, and it's worth it. The message is simple. Take full responsibility for your health. Don't fall into the trap of thinking, healthy at any size, there's nothing I can do about it. That mindset gives away all your power. Yes, It's true. Health is a mix of genetics and environment, but you do have control over the environmental side. You can choose to eat better, take walks, and add movement to your life. Those choices might seem small, but they add up in a big way. Now, some might argue that putting images of people who weigh 300 pounds on magazine covers could have a positive impact, inspiring others to move and make healthier choices. But let's be honest, does it really work that way? More often than not, it sends the opposite message. When someone sees a headline that says, "This is healthy" under a photo of a 300-pound person, it normalizes that weight as an acceptable standard of health. Think about it. If someone weighs 250 pounds and sees a cover saying 300 pounds is healthy, they might think, "I'm smaller than that, so I'm fine. I can eat more and skip the workout today because, hey, I'm healthier than the person on the cover." Instead of motivating change, it gives people permission to stay complacent. True health isn't about comparing yourself to someone else's weight or an image on a magazine cover. It's about recognizing where you are and deciding to make changes that improve your life. Being 50 pounds overweight doesn't mean you're better off than someone who's 100 pounds overweight. It means you've still got work to do. Don't let headlines or images distract you from what really matters: your health and the steps you can take to make it better. Why should you try? Because loving yourself doesn't mean staying stuck. It means caring enough to take action. If you're 300 pounds and you read, "This is not healthy, but you should love yourself enough to go for a walk and put the fork down," that's not an attack, it's a wake-up call.